that public?
No.
No.
Well, it isn't for that.
That's great.
If it's out here, I could ask.
I know it. I know it.
I should ask for it.
I know. I know.
I suppose it's a little bit early, but I think we might as well go so we can get out of here as quick as we can. So please stand and say your pledge of allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm not going to worry about notes from the last meeting. We'll get those in the next regular scheduled meeting. So, you got any comments from the public? No? All right, let's go right into Jan with the Steeple. Are you prepared for that?
I am. The only caveat is I just got one bid late this afternoon, so the Heritage Commission has not seen it. Mary has, but so the two columns in yellow are the two bids that are that listed for the just the bell tower. So there's vendor C and vendor D. And you can see for standard architectural shingles, vendor D is 2,000, vendor D is 5,200, and for copper it's 9,800.
I'm sorry, you're losing me quickly. We're looking at these two orange columns?
These two, yes.
Okay.
These two columns.
Do you have another copy of that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes. So
Vendor D only bid on the tower.
only bid on the tower because of the last meeting you expressed the desire to hold off on the other buildings for 3 to 5 years.
Understand.
So we're only focusing on the bell tower now.
Understand.
And because the other two vendors did not give a breakout,
Yep.
with the exception of the copper, the pricing is fairly high. As you can see, these two, vendor A and vendor B, is higher than the vendor C and D. So I wanted to at least share that. On the back of yours are the two quotes for C and D. I think I've given this to you, but I will give you again. This is the picture that was shared with all vendors so that they had a sense of what that is. The reason we look at copper is because it has a lifespan of about 100 years. So rather than redo the bell tower every, say, 15 years, it's an initial investment that has a longer lifespan. And having said this, I'm happy to answer any questions. However, I also think that we need to, as Heritage Commission, come back to you with a recommendation as well.
So help me understand this.
Yes,
So vendor D for the tower is 5,200.
correct. With standard architectural shingles.
Yes. If I go down it, for copper it goes to 26,000.
Yes, the vendor said
Yep.
it's about 5 times.
Now I go to vendor C.
Yes.
Did they break out just shingles?
The shingles are, for the bell tower, 2,000, and then the copper shingles would be 9,800.
So vendor C did not change his price for the bell tower, even if he's doing only the bell tower.
He did change his price. It had been 7,600, and the reason the price went up is because he was assuming he'd have a lift to the rest of the schoolhouse and the townhouse, and so he went back and added a couple $1,000s to the price for the lift. So that price did go up from 70, I think it was 76.
I thought vendor C was 2,000 when we brought it in last time.
Pardon me?
I thought vendor C was 2,000.
Vendor C was 2,000 for standard shingles, correct, and it still is 2,000.
Right, and the question was, did he want to hold the 2,000?
Yes.
If that's all he was
He
doing.
said that that's the price, and you can look at vendor C.
But he added the lifted. See, that's where I'm having trouble too.
Oh, okay.
It's 2,000 for the work,
Can I run this?
plus a lift someplace, right? It's 2,000 for the work, but he added a lift in now.
Yes, but if you look at his actual, yeah, because I think for the copper, to do that work, he needs a lift.
I'm having trouble.
Here's the specifics of his quote, and it says 2,000 for the, just standard shingles. So I'm assuming he can reach it with a ladder or get up there, but for copper, he wants a lift.
Okay, so it's 2,000 or 5,200, or if you want to go copper, 9,800. They're the real options, right? We're not doing
Yes.
26.
Yes, so vendor C is 2,000, vendor D is 5,200, and then you can see the difference in the shingles. Copper shingles, 9,800. Copper shingles, or 26,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah.
I need some help here.
Okay.
All right, so the bell tower on the vendor C is $2,000.
Correct.
Okay, so if I go to the attachment, and I go through the list for vendor C, he has rental of lift equipment at $2,200 for 1 year.
Sorry, thank you.
Next to the last.
That's if he's doing the copper panels.
Right, so he doesn't need the lift if there's no
It doesn't
copper.
say that it's for only the copper. Is that what he intended?
Right here, it says some of either 2,000 for shingles or 9,800 for the copper.
Right, so the lift would only be used
Okay,
for copper.
so why does he list rental of lift equipment as $2,200? Is that above and beyond?
That's above and beyond.
Okay, so it's not 2,000, it's
From his,
2,400.
no, sorry. No, I asked him for copper. Would he hold that price for copper if he was only doing the bell tower? And he said, no, I'm going to need to add a lift to it. That's why there's 2,200 in there.
The second at the bottom.
Jan, it says above it, updated price to bell tower below, and that's where the 2,200 is included, if you went with copper.
With copper.
Yeah, so let me try to summarize. The material is either 2,000
Correct.
or 5,200 equivalent.
Oh, yeah, architectural shingles, right.
Shingles is
2,000.
either 2,000 or 5,200.
Right, there's the slight difference may be if plywood is needed. Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to find.
Right, exactly. Vendor D has included that in the estimate. Okay, and the
Okay.
other hasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Or then if you jump to copper, it goes up to 9,800.
Correct.
So the cheapest we can get it done with asphalt is 2,000.
Correct.
That's what I don't agree with.
Oh,
And the reason why I don't agree with it is because of the way it's presented here. I'm stuck, I admit,
Okay.
on this $2,200 that
Yeah.
he has on the list for rental of lift equipment. It's
Okay.
$2,200, so that tells me he's not doing the bell tower for $2,000.
I'll go back and reconfirm the 2,200 for architectural shingles or for the copper.
Okay,
Okay.
because it just seems like there's an extra in there somewhere, I'm not understanding it.
Okay, I will go back and reconfirm with him tomorrow.
Am I out on a limb here, or do you guys?
No, it's the words that Jan gave us that clarified that. But you're reading in the quote, so
Right,
what's correct?
yeah, okay, I will go back and confirm that.
Thank you, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, any other thoughts on the college? Okay, Jan, you got anything else you want to talk about, Kathy, or anything else?
Nope.
All right, Mary Lou?
Nope. Ice cream social Saturday, 2 o'clock,
No? That's correct, this coming Saturday, right?
this coming Saturday.
And I do note that one person came in after we started, so I'll ask if you have any public comments that you would like to make, or?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Karen,
Don't have anything.
Rose?
Yeah, going through a couple of tax seasons now, I've recognized a couple of things I'd like to have changed in my office related to just a couple of things that need to be changed so that, for instance, I'd like to be facing the door. So that what I'm proposing, what I suggest that we would think about, I'd like to take the wooden table that's in there, turn it 90 degrees and make that a workstation between me, or a position where we can both sit down on either side of the table and I can have a conversation with somebody, or let them sit down when they make their tax payments. And that also gets me facing the door so I can see when somebody comes in. Would mean moving the computer, moving the telephone, and I think that would, and the bookshelf that's on top of that table. And I think the file cabinet also.
Well, it becomes a workstation that you're using now.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that there may be some ergonomics that aren't very good there, so I don't think this is going to be a permanent solution, but at least I think it'll be a better solution for next time we get a lot of tax payments coming in. So I would look to have some kind of improvement similar to that made over the next couple months before November.
Okay, all right, there's more discussion coming up on what our needs are here. And
Yeah.
Thank you for that, appreciate it. Chris, you got anything? Joanne?
No, just the
Rich?
budget.
Well, yeah, where do we leave that? Is that an okay or not an okay with Rose?
Oh, she's just gonna rearrange the equipment in the office, is what
I'm going to ask for it to be rearranged. I'm not planning on actually doing the work.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with doing the rearrangement that you just explained. You got any issues with it? All right, and I guess we can come down with some muscle and move some things around.
Spin a couple things around.
Yeah, you're talking about the desk and the workstation, so it's not a lot of heavy.
Right, I think it's more the computer and the telephone, that's done properly.
All right, well, we can come down and do it, and you can supervise if you want.
If I'm worried the wires aren't gonna be long enough, well, we'll find out what we
We'll
got.
find out, yeah.
We'll see what we got. Okay, so we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that.
Yep. All right, Joanne?
Just the budget.
Okay, so let's step right into that then. That's what we're primarily here for, is to go through the budget.
I'd like to take like each section and maybe, what I want from you guys is to tell me what is out there that we are going to spend, or that what we know of.
So it would be filling out the committed column essentially, right?
Right.
It's kind of what you're looking
Right,
for.
right.
So we'll break it down by each four-digit summary level.
Well, if we do like the selectmen section, and, just go through each category.
Okay. All right. So salaries, part-time wages, I'm not.
Right, we can't really do much about
Right,
that.
right.
So the 5,000 that's there, I encumbered for, or obligated for John, Cybertron, not knowing what he'll charge us.
Well, he was gonna give us a report in June.
Yeah.
That was the commitment, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen anything.
All right, I'll make a note to
Yeah.
bug him on that.
Which line item are you talking about?
That's the,
IT computer services?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Help me, I'm sorry, go slow. Help me understand what we're trying to do tonight.
We're trying to, there's some expenses like, that are coming up that we haven't, that I'm a little bit lost on as to what, I know we have an extra 20,000 that we were gonna put in for the roads out of Chris's budget. We have now the bell tower. I wanna make sure that we're thinking, we have everything written down that we know we're gonna spend. You know, I just need to
The
have a
numbers,
better handle on it.
and whatever we come up with would go into that obligated column. to help
Yes,
us.
yes.
Well-
As much as we can, we know,
We know we have obligated pay.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a little hard to obligate the salaries because, yeah, okay.
Well, so if we're going to use that column,
Mhm,
I assume that we're going to pay the people.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I said the other day, in a perfect world, as soon as you authorize this budget and it passes a town vote, every line item should have an obligated amount equal to the budget amount, except for any lines identified as contingency. So you essentially would be 90% obligated the day you approve the budget.
I understand that.
Mhm.
Now, we've overspent that already with $20,000 for the road, $2,000 for the painting,
Oh,
and we have a potential roof job coming.
Mhm.
So we have overspent our 100%. And I think,
And not to mention the legal expenses we have coming, which I just got
Right.
another bill for.
so the question is, where are we going to get that money from?
Well, let's see if we can figure it out.
Chris has something.
The 20,000 for the roads, that would come out of money that was already obligated.
It's coming out of your line, so am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should shift that, so
Yeah.
we don't show,
I obligated all of Chris's money, but we don't have, I mean, that's why I need to know. Oh, well,
Okay, go ahead, you,
that's why.
Do your
Let's go section by section. All right, so really the selectmen's is not a lot that we need, and salaries, board expenses, the supplies, that's pretty, other than salaries, which we know we're gonna spend, but, okay?
Let me ask just a quick question.
Yeah.
With this new upgrade to the software on the obligated column,
Yeah,
if you put in the total budget amount into that column and then we had expenditures, does it automatically deduct it from the obligated?
I have to create a purchase order, and then as I pay, it deducts, it comes down, yes,
So
it
that
does.
obligated will get adjusted?
does. I just
That would
can't-
go down just as the expended goes up?
Yes, I just can't do it to the salaries because it's a separate module and
Right,
it's,
okay.
I can't put a purchase order to a salary.
Okay.
So, let me ask you this, so there's 5,000 in the contingency line for selectmen. Do you want any of that used for your legal expenses that are over?
I think we
I
should.
just got a $9,000 bill.
Yep. I think we're gonna have to. Can you see any other options?
no,
I mean, the contingency is there for what has become an unexpected expense in legal fees.
The trustees of the, moving down to the next section, trustees of the trust funds, they don't take their salary. Go ahead, Rich.
what did we just agree to do?
We just agreed that you're going to use that $5,000 to help offset your legal expenses.
So you're going to take that to zero and move that money to legal? Is that what?
I can. Is that what you'd like to see? Would you like to see that, the expense come out of there, or would you like me to move that 5,000? Or just make the legal expenses go over and we know we have the 5,000?
Well, we're going over in a number of them.
Yeah,
So I'd like to know where the money's coming from.
I know. I do too.
My bias would be move the 5,000, take that to zero, and move the 5,000 in legal. That's what I would, to true that account up.
I'm sorry,
We can
take the
move-
roof to 5,000?
No, take the 5,000 here
It's in the budget.
and move it to legal.
Oh, yeah.
That number goes to zero then.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if we went to the trustee and trust funds, they don't take their salary. It's there, but it's only $450, and I don't know if they have a workshop coming up, dues, workshops, I don't know. If we went down to the town clerk, I know Karen has put an ad out. I don't know if you've had any luck, Karen? Any luck?
A couple of responses.
Okay. So that money will be spent.
I can't follow you.
You can't?
Oh, there was town clerk, I got you. Never mind, go ahead.
Okay. So, there's really not any wiggle room in there.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so then checklist people, that's hourly as they work, and I don't know how many more meetings or what they have coming up, but I'm sure that'll probably be gone. We leave, and again, the moderator, ballot clerks, they don't take any money, so. The technology, on the top of the next page, the technology upgrades, we've spent 600 and we budgeted 2,000. Are we still going to spend that 1,400 that's left? I don't.
You may have to with Rose's.
I'm sorry. Oh, the 14, but that's under.
Technology.
No, it's under
expenses.
It's under the moderator.
It's under moderator town.
Okay.
So I don't know why did we budget for 2,000? Do you remember?
We were going to get another computer. We thought the state was going
Oh,
to
right.
do the upgrade on us, and we'd have to get a new computer and do training. I don't know if we're getting a new computer. Are we getting a new computer for election people? No, not this year.
So we probably won't spend that.
For the moderators,
I'm
the
sorry.
election side, that's not the.
I'm sorry, you're talking
I did
about.
about Karen.
Yeah.
Karen? Yes.
I think this had to do with the possible purchase of the election for the handicap accessible
Oh.
equipment. And that's gone through legislation. I'm not sure what the answer is right now, whether we'll have to purchase it or not. So I think that was for all of those things related to that.
Okay, so we'll leave that alone. Okay, go down to treasurer. Kate doesn't work that much, my deputy, so there'll be a little bit of money left over there. We had, the auditor's bill was 10,000 instead of 10,500, so we have 500 there. I'm not sure about the dues yet, haven't gotten the bill. So, move down to tax collector. I had 1,800 for your IT. Do you remember
I'm just
what?
not familiar enough with the numbers right now.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I encumbered it. Oh, go ahead.
But if you take a look at on all these, the 13,000,
Mhm.
you can add 8,000 to that because that's the rest of the salary that we didn't, I'm sorry, right?
Losing it a little bit.
Year-to-date salary is 8,000.
Yes, yep, 50%, yeah.
There's going to be another 50%.
Yes, yep.
So another 8,000 onto the 13
yeah.
takes it to
Uh,
21,
Yeah,
and we budgeted 24.
okay.
So that's the wiggle room on that budget, and that's true on all these budgets where there's a salary,
That's correct.
right? We're committed to those salaries. So there's not just $3,000 available there potentially.
Mhm. And then either assessing, there's really nothing wiggle room there either.
Yep.
Okay, so then legal, like we just said, of course, zoning board has, are any of these expenses related to zoning, or is it all planning and selectmen?
Planning and selectmen
Okay.
so far.
So there's 5,000 on the zoning board line that I will get.
There is some coming. but-
So, can't do anything about the Medicare and the Medicaid and the FICA taxes. Okay, we go to planning board, go down to, in the planning board, we had 12,500 for planning and development. What was that for, do you remember?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
work.
Master, that was the
That's the
master
master
plan.
plan.
Was that?
That's going to work with SRPC, yes, to do the master plan with SRPC, yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
we will spend that 12,000, you think?
We'll spell part of it. No, I don't think we'll do
You think, Chris?
12,000.
You don't know?
I don't know, to be honest. Whatever they will do for work, I don't think it's a cost. It's going to cost. I think that's part of their mission is to provide that service.
Marshall's working that.
Okay. So we'll leave that alone. Should I obligate it, or?
Not yet. No, I would say not,
Okay,
and not at this point.
okay. Go down to the building then. Again, we had website support in there, that's civic, is that right, Leah?
Yeah.
And that could go over depending on what we come up with, right?
What's it listed at?
2,500. Didn't you say it was gonna double?
Yeah, but not until the end of the
No.
year.
Right.
Of course, if we sign with somebody new, then it would, yeah.
But even then, it's not gonna be implemented until January 1st.
We don't know that. We haven't talked to anybody yet.
Well, the contract is good until the 31st, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So we won't incur any expenses on the new system until after the first of the year.
I'm saying we don't know that because we don't know if another company's gonna want money up front to get started with us.
I understand, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that alone. The repairs to building and grounds, we put 5,000. And then the salt shed, we had 10,000. And the town garage, we have 26,000. So out of those, are we gonna expend anything?
Chris, you just finished the repairs on the salt shed, right?
I did the roof. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try and paint the inside of the shed to seal it from the sand.
How much was the roof panels, do you know?
It
Did
was,
we,
we got it
last year, that's right,
Yeah,
It was the labor.
yeah.
it was just labor this year. We wouldn't come anywhere near that 10,000 mark with just the painting of the inside. And I would hold off on painting the outside until we get the inside sealed off, so.
Right. All right, so let's keep in mind that we might have some work here, or some room here, but I don't want to change it at this point. We still got more work to do there.
What about the repairs to the town garage, that 26,000, are we doing anything?
We haven't done anything at all on that. That's something that we could probably defer if we feel that we're in a serious bind for budget. That's a substantial chunk of money. Do you understand what that was? We weren't here last year. We were gonna fix this garage up, you know, the big roll-up door.
Yep.
That's literally falling apart. So we were gonna enclose it for a regular size 8x9 garage door, and then put the access door into the front, and then put some shelving inside. So we had an estimate last year to do it, and I think it was 21, 22?
Only one.
Only one.
Yes.
Right. So we didn't really have a valid comparison. We said, let's put it off to this year, and we allowed 2,600 in the budget, 26,000 in the budget.
I don't see that getting done this year.
So what I'm suggesting is maybe we're not going to do it this year either, for other reasons. If that's an issue financially, it's something that we can push off. So let's leave that as is for now.
Okay. Cemeteries, we can't really touch that.
We did get reimbursed for the fence. The
Oh,
gate,
yes.
the gate.
Yes, yes.
The insurance claim, the
Yeah.
insurance company,
Yeah,
remember we had to front the
Yeah.
money?
Yeah.
They gave us the full reimbursement.
When are they going to fix the gate?
It's being worked on. It's being, it's in, yes, it's being worked on.
yeah,
But now that's gonna be interesting because we spent it, but the money goes into the general fund.
yeah,
All money goes into the general fund.
Yeah.
But the expenditure is gonna show here's an overrun.
right.
Yep.
The property tax file project that is really ongoing.
Oh, we're right now.
Go to the next page. I think we pretty much finished. Anyway, cemeteries, go to page 4, are you on page 4?
And,
So property tax file, that's Craig, and they're still working, I think, on that. Wakefield Police, that's taken care of. Forestry, $500. didn't Brad say he was gonna do, emergency management report or some?
He's trying to get a grant to update our local emergency.
Operation.
Thank you.
Yes,
But that's not that number.
No.
no.
That's further down. So, on the tax file, we overspent.
Well, it's more of, I was taking the salary out of the wrong line. You can see the zero there. I've got to move that. See over here. It was zero budgeted, but I was taking the salary of Craig or Kristen out of there. So I've got to move that. You know what I mean?
Generally, so that number
Yes.
is, that number is incorrect.
Yes. No, so we spent that, but we didn't have anything to deduct it from. So you see, put it in the
So
negative, but
the
it really should come out of the next
The
line.
1566 is gonna get added to the 3446.
Thank you.
Yeah. So then,
I'm subtracting from them, so.
What,
Subtracted.
combined with,
Yeah.
yep.
Wakefield Police, we can't, that's done. Go down to building inspection. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. Emergency management, that
We
5,500.
got a
Oh,
question.
go ahead, Chris.
Chris?
Is there an administrative assistant for the CEO?
I'm sorry?
Only if there used to be.
I didn't hear the question.
Administrative assistant for the,
Oh,
Code enforcement.
yeah, code enforcement.
No, right now there is not.
No. There was, it used, when Cassandra was here, she used to have to help Nick, so I think that's why we planned on it, but Leah hasn't. Jeff is pretty, he takes care of everything, yeah. So I don't think we'll use that. Emergency management, that 5,500, was that for,
Yes.
that was,
Yes.
so,
What was it for?
Brad
The
was-
local emergency operations plan, updating that. So he's trying to get a grant of 5,000 or 5,500, but we need to do matching funds for it.
Okay.
Is that the
Something
part-
along those lines anyway.
Is that part of the
That the
combined with
grant
Wakefield?
typically paid
No, that's
for
the joint hazard mitigation
Okay.
plan. We
This
did
is
that
just
last
for-
year.
That was-
That's just for us.
No, it's okay, I mean, that's what Brad requested, am I right?
Yep.
Okay. And then we go down to highway and streets. Like I said, I obligated all of that, but we may not need all of that either, you know.
So, we know we spend contracts for 170 something for paving.
Right. So we obligated 150, so we need another 20.
So shouldn't we put 20 on top of that?
Yeah, and make that line show.
Well, we obligated 173, 177, 170 something.
Yeah.
Obligated, but to come out of the already approved money.
The 20,000, the extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to reduce I would assume we
Reduce the other
reduce
one.
that,
Right.
so we know what we're working against.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do that.
And that's going to come out of what, summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer.
So summer's going back down to 58,000 for the rest of the summer. Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that summer maintenance supplies, the 34, I could use the 20 there. I mean, I could take the, unless you have other things.
Well, there'd be some more gravel, you know, you're talking about, every time you get a load of gravel, it's $500. So it goes pretty fast. But that said, if you want to take it from there, that's we can work around it either way.
Yeah,
I would suggest that we do that,
take the 20 out of the 34.
yes.
And then we'll, Wakefield Solid Waste, the Meals on Wheels, I have not gotten a bill or any kind of, I could pay those, same with the food pantry. I haven't gotten a bill, Mary Lou. Can you give me a,
I can send you a.
thank you, so I can pay you.
Happy to.
I'd like to get that, okay. And then the
So what
other,
about taking some out of welfare? You could probably take 5,000 out of there. You're halfway through the year.
I understand, but
I understand.
somebody can knock on the door tomorrow,
They could, and they do.
and they do, right, and it could cost us 20, not 10. We don't
I
know,
understand.
you know, I think it's premature, it's something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
But if we're sitting here in November, you know, maybe we do something at that point. But I would say for now, leave it the way it is.
okay, last page. The transfer to capital reserve, we have to do that. The major repair of town roads, that's 75, that's paving?
That's going
Or
in.
was that something else on that last page?
That's the one that comes and goes every year, the
75?
put it in, take it
That's
out.
going into?
Yes.
Yes, and the trust.
Yes, then, so then we have the other 75, which is the road and bridge repair? That's
coming out of
75,
the
yeah.
trust. Right, I got that right?
We're putting 5,000 in for office equipment, right? We're putting 75 for road and bridge, and then 20 in for the townhouse repair. 9,000 for the reeval, and then 25 for reserve for buildings and ground. We did all those, right? Yeah.
We will, you'll do those.
Yep. So those are gone.
But what we didn't talk about, I don't,
What?
is the painting.
Right.
Where would the painting, we spent that money, so
We spent it out of, where did we take that? That's that townhouse repair on the 4903,
page,
last page, 20,559. Right here, right here.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Thank you. So that, okay, so,
So that's over by 25, and then we're gonna, is that where we're gonna take the shingles out of? That line?
I would think,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're on page,
I can't
Last
find
page,
it.
last page.
I keep thinking, it's gonna jump off the page and hit me in the face. and it
Townhouse
doesn't.
repair, 4903.
right in this area.
Oh,
We had
that's-
18 budgeted, and it cost 20 already.
okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
So the shingles we'll take out of there also. But can't, if we needed to, we could take some money out of the trust fund, because your agents do expend
Yes.
for the townhouse?
There's two variables.
Okay,
What we're allowed to spend, and we can't overspend our budget.
right.
And then the other variable is where are we going to get the money from? Either taxes
Mhm,
or a trust fund.
mhm,
But they're independent events.
mhm.
So we can't overspend, and that's where we're working now. And then the question is, how do we want to fund it? Do we want to take it out of a trust fund?
And we don't have to make that call yet
No,
either.
no,
right?
no.
That's right. So we've got a lot of areas here where we say there's some margins that we can work with.
Yep,
So I think it's good to identify those. Other than Did we make one, we made one swap already, right, today?
One.
We're gonna move some money?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, just that one, I don't think we should do anything else. Was it two?
the legal fees, the legal.
Okay, right, yeah, I forgot about that.
And
Okay.
do we know any more about whether we're gonna have to pay, because of that legal case, is there any big amounts that are gonna be spent? We don't know yet.
I can tell you there's likely gonna be more. I really don't have a feel for how much.
Just a quick question on page 3, just going back to the website support.
Yeah.
There's $2,500 in there and nothing's been spent. Do you know, do we pay at the end of each year for the following year?
Yes.
Yeah,
We do. So this $2,500 is to pay for next year's?
In December.
December's?
they bill us in December.
They bill us in December?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So you're talking about hiring a webmaster, so where are we gonna take that money from? I'm just asking.
And when we figure it out, we'll let you know.
Okay, good. Okay.
And we're also haven't set a
Is it-
timeline to implement
is-
that either, right?
Are you thinking that the webmaster will be an hourly employee, or will they be a contracted employee?
I would hope hourly,
Okay,
as needed.
okay,
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
Yeah.
It would make more sense.
okay.
Anybody respond yet? Other than that corporation?
Just the one I forwarded you, the corporation.
Okay, any other questions on the budget at this point? All right. I'd like to talk a little bit about the audit report that we got. And if I've sat down the wrong path on that, someone's gonna have to stop me, because I'm very confused on what is available to talk about in public versus executive session or non-public session. So what I did is I printed out the AI analysis head that you supplied to us.
He's using this.
And we have that in front of us to look at. In general, my opinion, in general, there's two things that they highlighted. One is that we do not identify and depreciate capital assets. That being this building, the townhouse, the preserve, I think it applies to real property as well, salt shed. We don't capitalize those and depreciate them. And we haven't for as long as I've been on the board, and Rich, probably as long as you've been on the board as well, right?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, we-
In most places,
Most places do.
We decided not to do that. We don't have trucks. We
right,
don't have,
police cruisers.
that's right.
And the risk that they identified associated with that doesn't really carry a lot of weight in my mind either. Because they say you may be understating your entire asset value. So what? If you're going to apply for a municipal bond, it may be a factor, and it may not be a factor. Right? They also say you rely too heavily on taxes, 62% on taxes and 17% on fees through licensing and dogs and cars and what have you, boats and whatever else is out there. The other thing that they said is that overall, on the financial side, we're in good shape. We're doing a good job of managing the books. They didn't find any issues, any inconsistencies. There was some concern over the way our road agent configuration is set up. It's a contractor that manages his crew, manages the road work for the town, and we as selectmen oversee that. So they're looking for maybe a little bit tighter, and I think Chris has been responsive to that too, in terms of identifying the labor hours, machine hours, equipment hours when you submit an invoice. So I think that's going to help a lot. There were other recommendations they had in here too, and Leah, I think you've worked on some of that too, the IT
Yeah,
policies. So we're
still
making
digging
some,
through that pile, but we're getting there.
yeah, so we're taking heed to it. We're not blowing it off and ignoring it. But I think that the emphasis I want to make right now is that depreciating capital assets would cost us money. It would cost us money to do that because we're not set up. We won't have the personnel to do it. We would have to hire somebody to identify the asset, value the asset, and then depreciate the asset. And for what gain to the town? The gain to the town would be a truer total town asset value down the road in case we needed it. Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there. We're not there. I don't think we need to be there. And I think that we should continue to not capitalize our assets and then depreciate them going forward. What I will say though is that all of those assets that they're talking about, if it's for me, tell them I'm busy. All the assets that we have are in fact assessed. If you look at the town assessment, they have an assessed value in the town. We're just not putting it on a capital spreadsheet and then depreciating it over time. There's no net gain to the town in doing that. So, Mr. Comeau.
It's up to you. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. The omission of this capital assets and depreciation, if you read the AI came out with, it makes perfect sense. Because without depreciation, the cost of using these assets is not reflected, potentially understating annual expenses and skewing financial performance.
Mhm.
And then it says here, again, it says implications. Where does it say implication? Hold on, let me find it here. It's just going to, if you don't account for these depreciated items and they fail, then you fail to plan for that depreciated items failure. And without doing that, you could at the end, I mean this happened at the county with their stuff too. So they have it all set up so they have that system going. So I would advise that you come up with a system to do that. Because it could be a huge cost if you don't do that.
I don't see, where is it going to be a huge cost? We have the townhouse, that appreciates in value. So why would we capitalize it and then depreciate it? Same is true for the townhouse.
Well,
Same is true for the preserve.
It says here, future cost risks, not accounting for depreciation hides the accumulating wear on infrastructure, which could lead to significant unplanned replacement costs.
And that would be a truck, a front-end loader.
I think that refers to the roads too, because if you go through the RSMS plan, that's part of that is setting a number value to the value of our town roads. We don't own them all necessarily, but there is a value to them and what it costs to maintain those on an annual basis. And I think that's what that's referring to.
And to build off that, it goes for the printer and the computers and everything else too.
And we have trust funds and we have budgeted line items for material and equipment, and when we need them, we get them. And when we need to fix the road, we budget the money and fix it. And we have a plan to do that over time. I still don't see the value. So what it's going to do is it's going to put on the books, we'll use roads as an example, right? Let's say that we got $500,000 worth of roads as an asset. What they're going to do is say every year your asset value is going down $10,000 through depreciation. Okay? So that becomes an expense. So now the town is expending $10,000 a year on roads. No, they're not. They're just wearing out. Right? It's an accounting principle. It's not real money.
I agree. It's an accounting tactic, but you're only looking at the negative side of it too. You spend money on these roads, you put them into the roads, and it brings their value back up. So I would agree with you. I'm not sure I see the immediate gain from this, but think you already said it once, that in the event that something happens, let's just say something did happen to the bridge. If you had to go and bond a project to repair it in an emergency situation, if you had all this stuff on the books, I think it would be much easier to accomplish that goal. I'm not saying for sure, that's just my thought process on it. And I'll agree with you, I don't see the short-term benefit of it necessarily, but I think just in terms of accounting, it makes some sense, but I'm granted coming to you with limited information on just what we're learning here.
Do we know why the auditors would recommend doing it now?
GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles.
Those are,
That's the only reason.
They've recommended it for the past X years, and we've always made the decision we're not going to do it. This is not a new item.
No, I understand that. I fought it when I first became treasurer in 2009. And what I got from the CPAs was, oh, governments don't do that. So,
Don't know.
okay.
So it's not only would the wear and tear on the assets be on the books as an expense to the town. So now it looks like we're expending more money than we're really expending because it's funny money, smoke and mirrors money, asset depreciation money. But then it's also going to increase the expense of doing our books. We're going to have to hire somebody to manage those capital assets. And what that I'm grossly understating this, but what that means is we're going to hire somebody to put the asset in and push the button and say, every year this is how much you depreciated those
all right,
assets.
so it says, the GASB statement number 34, basic financial statements and management's discussion and analysis, requires that capital assets be inventoried at cost and properly depreciated in the government activities. We recommend that the town maintain capital asset records and reconcile them to the general ledger as appropriate on a timely basis to ensure accurate accounting over the assets. Specifically, the capital asset records should include the following information: description, cost, vendor name and date purchased, date placed in service, estimated useful life, depreciation method, depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation for the year, and the date asset retired and the selling price, if applicable. Complete information such as this on all capital assets would provide excellent control for the safeguarding of the assets, which are significant in cost.
Okay, so they're going to safeguard our townhouse by depreciating it. They're going to safeguard this building by depreciating it. They're going to safeguard the salt shed by depreciating it. That's not safeguarding anything. It's smoke and mirrors. They're trying to force us to do something, and again, it is a generally accepted accounting principle. It's not a law, it's not an RSA. Mr. Coleman, I see you.
Yeah, we paid money for this audit. That's why, we paid money for the audit. This is why I suggested that the auditor be here to explain how we're doing it now and why the general accounting practices tell you to do something different. And if we're doing something that comes close to what the requirement is, then the representative should tell us it's okay to do it the way we're doing it. I just hear we're doing the same thing we always do, and then, you know, was the townhouse roof depreciated? Were we ready for these repairs? Were we ready for the other repairs? And the roads, for instance. So it's like, I think that question keeps coming up. But we paid, how much was the audit?
10,000. 10,000.
And they should certainly come in and just give us an overview.
Yeah,
of our
Joanne, I
questions.
think you were going to look into
I
that.
did. They had closed last week for vacation, so I did send them an email.
Yeah, so it's not, we're still pursuing it, and I think it's a good suggestion. But I'll make an observation though, use the townhouse roof as an example, right, we shingled 10 years. So what you're trying to tell me is that if we follow these generally accepted accounting principles, we would know that roof's going to wear out in another 10 years. Yeah, we already do.
Yeah, but like I said, if we're doing it a different way, it may kind of equal to what the practices are telling you to do. I mean, they put it in the audit report for a reason. So they should, if you're gonna have the representative here, they should answer that question. Because if the auditor has to report that to you. She has to go by, or the representative has to go
yes.
by those practices.
I agree.
They can't make it up.
No, I agree, and I'm not discounting the fact that they are reporting it at all. They're doing their job. You know, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I still stand firm in that I cannot see the net gain to the town by doing it. Right? We're managing these assets, we're anticipating, we're planning for the future by setting aside trust fund money to take care of those down the road.
But she didn't, I keep saying she. The representative did not say that. Like, if it said in the report that Brookfield uses a different method to come up to the same conclusion, then I would feel a little better, but she's not doing that.
No, because we're not using the generally accepted accounting principle of asset depreciation.
I think we can move on. I think if we're going to have the representative here. This missing management discussion and analysis, what is that?
I asked the same question, I don't know if the
I
answer.
mean, it's in the report, and I don't know what it is.
It's, you guys the selectmen opted not to do the management discussion and analysis letter last year, I don't know about. It's just it's usually written by, like if we had a town administrator, they would write as to like an overview. It's this management discussion letter.
But it
That's
says
the impression.
mandatory, that's all. It says mandatory. That's what I looked
Yeah,
at.
I'm pretty sure that was,
It's in here, and I read that as well, and I didn't understand what it was. But from reading the analysis of it, the pros and cons and stuff they're saying, it sounds like what Joanne is saying is true, is what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody to write up a report.
they would do it for us, but there would probably be a charge for it, you know.
And then where does that go? It just goes in the archives? And
Just goes
Karen,
into
what's
the
our
audit
33A
report.
say about an MDA? I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Number 7, can I go on?
Yes.
Number 7, it says fiduciary fund management. And it says you have a liquidity risk. Timing mismatches between collections and remittances could disrupt cash flow. So it says remediation. Use cash flow forecasting, which sounds like that program. Cash flow forecasting to align collections and payments. Streamline processes, possibly through automation to enhance efficiency. But I don't understand the town handles large fiduciary activities, including $1,845,771 in school district taxes, which, while accurately reported, demands precise cash flow management. I hear sometimes that we're coming real close to expending the budget because of the way the school is billing us. And are we accounting for that? He's shaking his head.
It's a different account.
Yeah. It doesn't show in our budget, and they give us a schedule of what we'll pay for the year.
And they won't change it.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Lou.
And we have to provide them with almost, what did it used to be, maybe 50% of the money in the first 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, we just made a $300,000 payment. It
Yes.
was- Yeah, it's very high in the summer. June was 200,000. I mean, they get a big chunk
Yes, this time of year.
This time of year.
And that's why, if the auditor is here that explain, then why is it in the report? If that's not something we should be worrying about.
We have no control over it, is
We don't.
part of the problem.
But it's in,
Only if we don't collect the taxes,
Right,
because we're still on the hook for the payment.
right. That's right. So if we didn't get any tax money, we'd have to take out a loan to pay Governor Wentworth.
That's right.
here's a big one. Can I go on?
Yes.
Sure.
Investment risk exposure. The town has over $1 million of uninsured and uncollateralized investments, exposing it to a custodial credit risk if the investment counterparty fails. Implications: loss of potential. The counterparty default could result in significant financial losses threatening the town's stability. Oversight gaps: the lack of safeguards suggesting weak investment risk management. Overexposure: no diversification limits increase vulnerability to specific issuer risks. Remediation: create an investment policy, which I hear we talk about that sometimes, mandating collateralization for amounts exceeding FDIC insured and setting diversification rules. Regularly assess investment holdings to mitigate custodial and concentration risks. She put that in here. What does that all mean? And it sounds like
So-
we have investments in the New Hampshire
Public
investment pool.
Yeah.
Which is regulated by the state.
Correct.
But it's
So-
not federally, it's not FDIC insured.
And that was
That's
the
correct.
problem.
And that is a risk.
That was the risk that Tamworth worried about.
Yeah.
Because they're also, I believe, using the same thing.
Most of the towns do.
And she put it in, the representative put it in the report, and I would like to hear out of them
Yeah.
why why we're allowing this risk. And
What-
if it's something that,
We do get collateralization letters from when our account goes over 200,000. We get those from Profile. We did when we worked with Meredith. It's just something they generate. But the public, New Hampshire PDIP is not FDIC insured. It is a risk, but they pay high interest rates.
what happens if that changes?
There's been a lot of discussion at the state level about that. I don't know really, yeah, I know. I mean, we could put our money in, if we put our money in CDs, we're tying it up. If I need money out of the investment pool, I can pull it out within a day. That's the advantage of it.
CDs generally have a penalty for early withdrawal, et cetera, et cetera, et
It's
cetera.
1 month interest.
And they pay nothing.
You're not saying anything.
Anything else?
I
Moving along.
want to make one more comment too, right? I mean, we're Brookfield, we're small, we're 1.4, that's peanuts, that's nothing. If we're at such a risk where we're going to lose our 1.4, there's nothing standing in all of Carroll County. And 2/3 of New Hampshire has been wiped out by something. So what do you think any FDIC approval is going to do? We can collateralize it, but the collateral now is not worth anything. So it would be that kind of a catastrophic event that would get this town in trouble.
Okay. I'm not the auditor, but that's something the auditor should hear.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know if you've met with her individually or off the cuff. They put another item number 3, they put this is in the report, I didn't say it, related party transaction. And this seems like the analysis of the report, and it's in the audit report, is that having a road agent also own the contractor or be the same thing, that there was some issue with that. So they put it in the audit that they have an issue with this related party transaction. So it says remediation, I'll go right into the remediation.
Yep.
Well, no, cost efficiency, with that, because it was the competitive bidding issue, I think it had. And remediation, require competitive bidding. So is the representative under the assumption that we don't go out for bidding ever? Do we ever go out for bids?
I don't know what their assumptions are.
Okay, well, so that's what she put it in here. Require the competitive bidding or independent oversight for contracts with related parties. So the audit report shows that there's an issue about this related party transaction. And I know there's some talk about how the insurance company, Primex, handles
Chris's labor.
Chris's labor, and then the what's it called? The
Liability.
not the liability,
Workers'
workman's compensation.
Mhm.
So there's some question in there, and she put it in the audit, so I'm looking forward to talking to the auditor. Because I never hear, every year we have an audit, I never really hear it talked about. I think one time when we had our first audit, the representative came here and talked about it. Ever since then.
And we're going to pursue that and try to get that set up. I think it's a good idea. But what I want to emphasize is that they pointed out two areas. One, I forget their term now. One of them said, you guys are doing a good job. I'm using my words, not theirs. And the other one said, you know, you should be depreciating all those assets. Should be. Okay, thank you very much. What's next? So my point being that we're doing the right things that are best for this town.
I would like to hear that if the auditor was here, and we went through this with the auditor, and the auditor said, these are the corrective actions, or you don't need to corrective action this, I think everybody would feel better. Because if she says, okay, this is the way you do it, it's not exactly the way the GAP says to do it, but it'll work. But we should hear that from her. What?
Well, I believe she said that, not in so many words, right? Where she said all of your financial and fiduciary duties are being met. That's the same thing.
Well, for the items that are listed, I would like to see what corrective action is needed or not, and hear that from the auditor that we paid. That's all.
All right, we'll try to set something up. Okay, and by the way, thank you for this analysis. This is really good. It really does summarize it, makes it an easier.
Yeah, I couldn't understand the auditor either when I did it.
Yeah, that's a lot that I can't understand. I can't either. All right, that's,
You're going to go into non-public for your discussion of the other item?
of the,
Are you going to go into non-public to discuss the other item that you needed to discuss?
I don't think we need to. You see a need for going into non-public? So I think we're okay. If something comes up, then that.
At some point, are you going to go in non-public to talk about the issue that you can't talk about in public? That's super important.
To be honest with you, I can't think of what that issue is right now.
Okay, well, every town has gotten the same, basically the same issue that I know you've gotten. So I'm just saying you should actually talk about it in non-public.
Okay. All right.
Enlighten us.
It's not public.
Oh, no, don't enlighten us.
don't
Don't
enlighten
enlighten us.
But every town has
Security issue.
addressed.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right, anybody got anything else? I didn't, I'm sorry.
I got nothing. I
You've
haven't
been on
here,
vacation, you
so-
haven't done anything in weeks.
Yeah, except for sending minutes and
I'm
agendas.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other issues, Chris?
Do you want to do some non-public to discuss a contract issue?
We can do that, that's probably.
That's up to you.
Because I know I mentioned that to you, I think probably around February, March, and it just one thing has led to another. All right, so which one? Let's go to non-public.
Thank you.
RSA 91A,
You guys are negotiating, that's not,
Let me sign.
Yep. I'll probably be in Thursday morning.
Would it be eight?
Maybe Wednesday, but Thursday for sure.
compensation or?
We're going to vote A, non-public.
I was listening.
Can't stay.
There's something.
We're gonna do it here.
Say something
Or there.
about contract.
Do it here.
I can give you a ride home, Rose, if you want.
We're gonna do it here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Which one says, talks about contract negotiation?
It says,
Please don't tell them like, yeah, go into non-public. I gotta go to the bathroom before we do this. Thanks.
A is the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or an investigation of any charges against him or her unless an employee affected one or has a right to a meeting or...
it's not an employee.
Okay.
Right.
He's not an employee, it's a negotiation between us and a company. So it has to do with negotiations.
I just think, I think it would be C, but
I don't see it here.
you don't see C?
No, I see C. I don't see the one that says when you're negotiating a contract, you do it in non-public. I don't see it in front of me.
And this was some of the stuff.
That's what I think. You going home?
Yeah.
Join them up.
I don't see it here.
Okay.
Why is he not a public employee?
He's a contractor.
But it's
Are you going
still,
under
he's an
A?
employee.
He's a contractor. We're talking to a company. Moosemount, whatever it's called.
Yeah, but the only
Kenville
one-
Construction LLC.
Yeah, I know, but the only one that would be relevant would be A. I don't know what else you would use. A and C is what the county uses. If you get, let's say if he wants to talk about one of his employees.
That's not an employee.
Okay, I'm just saying, if he wants to talk about somebody's reputation, it would be C. If it's about compensation, discipline, you gotta pick one. And if you picked A and C, I think, I don't know what else you would, you're not gonna stray if you do A or C.
Oh, here we go, how about J? Consideration of confidential, commercial, or financial information that is exempt from public disclosure under RSA 91A5 for an adjudicative proceeding pursuant to more RSAs.
We should double check those RSAs to make sure it applies though.
If you think it's J, you could say A, C, and J, and just, if you're not gonna use one of them, say that at the end.
It's not wrong to go in if you don't use it, right? But it's right if you go in and you do use it.
Correct. It's important that you tell the public when and why you're leaving,
Yeah.
their
All
view.
right, so let's do this. I'll make a motion, we go into non-public under RSA 91A, A, C, and J, to discuss specifically contract negotiation matters.
You need a second.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll.
I need
Austin.
roll call.
Aye.
Rich?
Zachary, yes.
Ed, yes.
Austin, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he said, he was the first one.
Okay. 7:09.
All right.
You can do it here, there's no one else here.
Well, yeah, you